hold, we've got my new shipment of Osaka Jute. And as you can see, a strange deformity at the bottom. Finally, I'll have a Shibari rim. Let's see what we have here. So this only took about 5 days to ship, Transglobal Express, right from the UK. In total Canadian, I ended up paying, well, for the rope itself, it was $162.29 Canadian, and then the cost on delivery ended up only being $32.40, so that's quite cheap compared to some of my past standards. It's like Christmas. Okay, so that's just like shipping manifest. Which way's up? Go through the rain. I'm normally quite surgical about this, but come on. A lot later than I expected. Bubble wrap. Oh my god. There is enough bubble wrap here to last me forever. Sweet. There we go. It's giant. It's nice and flat. Sweet. My hula hooping girlfriend's gonna love this. Oh, I can hear a rattle inside from the weld line. Oh well. Oh yeah. Alright. Next up. This is the exciting part. $163 in rope. So keep touring. Ah. All right. So, first impressions. Sexy to look at. It's definitely a looser weave than what I had worked with before. So this is what I worked with before. It's quite stiff. This is also 6mm, but it's not Osaka Jute either. It's the standard stuff that S&M sells, but nonetheless, still quite a high grade. This is obviously machine woven. It's never once smelt like a jute, not when I was singeing it, not anything, but it's very evident that it is jute just by its material. So what that says to me is that it's primarily machine woven, and it's just got the oils from the machine on it, which heavily disguise the smell of jute. This stuff, it smells, well, it smells like jute. You can definitely smell more of the jute than the other stuff, and it's already a much looser weave, and in an opposite direction. But this one, the previous stuff, it takes quite some pressure to unweave. This stuff comes apart pretty quickly. I imagine high stringing is going to be something I'll finally actually have to consider. Not a detail I'm excited about, but it's a detail I get to live with, huh? So, there's quite a lot of process to this. The first stage is, at least for my approach, is cutting it to length. Generally I cut it to length and then I tie the knots at the end. And then there's everything from waxing to boiling to oiling to all sorts of good stuff. I gotta fray it still. Kind of excited to play with this. It's a little bit bigger than I expected, but that'll give me a lot of working room. And Instagram. It even fits right over it. Alrighty. First step. cutting it to length. Now I put some thought into this. Wow. So I put some thought into this, and the last time I got this much rope, I had done it all in 30 feet sections, or 30-foot sections. That's the stuff in the middle over here. This stuff here. My first batch was this stuff here from Drex rope. I had cut that down to 28 feet, which is 5 fathoms for me, 5 of my arms width. I got used to using that length really quickly, and I preferred it. And then I moved on to the 30 feet. I found quite often I had to do a lot of extra burning up of rope in a scene, and just handling it was rather clumsy. On top of that, at that point, I wasn't used to dealing with 6mm rope, so this is actually 5mm. So I'm kind of excited to deal with the middle ground after 4 years of playing with rope. But yeah, I've got over here we've got hemp, and that's from Raw Organic and Green Boating Supplies. Raw Organic, I loved working with them. I like some of their other products. It's also the coarsest hemp that I've used. Green Boating Supplies is way more resistant to everything from conditioning to weathering to wear and tear. It held up the best. Once it was conditioned, it was like silk. It was just wonderful. Gripped itself just like hemp does, which is annoying to me because I got used to jute really quick, but it handles really nicely once it's conditioned. The Raw Organic is still stubborn as all hell. This stuff here is actually 2 little strands here that are actually still undergoing conditioning. The S&M, the general main line, but it's 6mm, so, and that was the 30-foot. These guys are some odds and ends, a little bit of Douglas Kent, and sort of lighter stuff from S&M, which I got it because I wanted to try it, and it was only like $8, but I don't like it. I don't like the smell, I don't like the handle, I don't like anything about it, so I rarely use it. We've got some Douglas Kent up here, and Drex rope, which is still to date my favorite balance between quality and durability. It was also the most expensive I've bought. So, this stuff. So I'm thinking what I will do is see if my wingspan has changed any with my handy dandy notebook. Yeah, I should be floating at about 28 inches for my full wingspan. I'm thinking I'll stick with 28 inches again. So let's see how. Now this is the cool bit because I need a spool. Leave it to a martial artist to always have weapons on hand. This should work. Oops. As I destroy my paperwork. Alright. Should have one wingspan. Two wingspans. About 3 wingspans. 4 wingspans. 5 spans. This I need some tape for. Apparently I don't have tape. I do, however, have magic marker. Alright. This is a little bit makeshift. So 96 inches. Minus 6 inches again. .96 inches again. Ninety-six, 96, 96, 46. Let's see. $334. So we got 334 inches here. .83 feet. Boom, focus. Yeah. 27 feet and 10 inches. So 334 inches. Pretty close, huh? I'd like to actually take note of this. So that's pretty spiffy. Alright, so 10, 11, so yeah, it's off by an inch. Now what I get to do is use that as the yardstick. I'll give you an extra inch, plus 2 inches. So I'm going to do 30, or sorry, 28. So that'll be what? 28 and 3 inches, give or take. Now this stuff, the previous batch, the thicker machine wound stuff was so tightly strung that when I'd cut the end, this would explode. It would just be like into 3 sections. Made it fairly easy to do the knot at the end, the wall knot. I think I've been doing thistle knots, but the wall knot nonetheless. Whatever knot you choose to use at the end. But yeah, this was notably more of a pain in the butt. As soon as I'd cut it, boom, it'd explode. This, notably more contained. So that's cool. I appreciate that. What I should be doing is getting some tape for this, but right now I don't think so. So for now, I'm just going to put a little knot in the end. Pa, just like that, little wee overhand knot. Then we move on to the next one. Let's record the whole thing, shall we? Definitely feels different, way different. It's a totally different creature. This guy, I'm going to start off with putting a knot in the end so we don't lose the shit. But yeah, this is a little bit more what I'm used to working with. Kind of just explodes at the end. Keep it fairly stiff. Yeah, this rope is already more coarse, I think. I'm just doing it very, very loose knots. I don't want to damage or waste any rope here. Like this, there's no character to it yet. It just goes where you want it to. So I'm trying to remember the calculations. I can't remember how much length came in this entire spool, but I do recall it being quite a bit. And from the angle of someone who intends to have a stock of it, it gives quite a decent amount for the local demographic here. We don't have a tremendous amount of people that are buying rope, but it's good to have on hand when people come knocking. And I've had more than a few people come knocking over the past year. Easy does it. Interestingly, there is enough tension on the rope that the longer it sits, the more it spreads. But put an end to that real quick. All my talk of being ambidextrous, and here I am fumbling on the right side. I've had over the past year a number of people get on my case about me overcharging for my rope, but hopefully this video will give a little bit of insight as to why I charge what I charge. Here in Ontario, Canada, there isn't too many suppliers of jute, and the ones that do supply jute rope, I frankly don't like the quality. It's just, not saying it's bad quality, I'm saying I might have been a bit spoiled. But yeah, it's like just the material cost itself. Like this spool might have only been $160, which is really cheap in my books. But then when you add to the fact, like I'm gonna be hard put to quantify what I'm worth per hour of what I put into this. But when it comes down to it, and you see what kind of material goes into it, it's not just me getting a battery rope. I mean, some people would be happy to use this right off the spool. I'm gonna save some cutoffs so people can see where it started. But when it comes down to what sort of stuff goes into it, I don't just boil it, wax it, and that's the end of it. No, there's quite a few stages to this, and I frankly handle this rope a lot before it ever sees a customer. So, yeah. And indeed, I get some big traffic on this road. But indeed, I get a number of people, they see what I pay for the material, and they're like, well, what are you doing charging, 35 bucks Canadian for a length? I'm like, I agree, it's expensive, that sucks. But I put a lot of time and effort into this. There's the smell of jute. A slight machiny smell too, so I suspect there's some weaving oil in there. Considering the consistency of the rope, it's already a really nice handle. Considering the consistency of the weave, I'd say it was probably machine prepared. Some people would frown on that. I don't blame anyone. For this quantity of rope, I don't endorse slave labor, so I recommend machine labor. So yeah, between the cutting of the lengths, that's handling it once, then I don't even remember what order I do things in. I try to leave boiling to near the end because I can't use it while it's wet, and that's not very fun at all. Oh fuck, burning right into my mat here. Sheet. The spool is literally cutting and burning into my mat. Did not count on that. Oops. Put on a blanket. Alrighty. So yeah, we've got the sizing of the rope, or the length of the rope. That's one handle. And we've got the fraying, 2 handles, singeing, 3 handles, boiling, 4 handles, waxing, 5 handles, tying the knots at the end, 6 handles. That turns way better now. All for the perfect handle and the perfect aesthetic of these things. So I might be outcharging some of my competitors, but I know most of them have standardized sort of shorter ways of conditioning the rope. That's cool and great for them. It's not satisfactory to me. So with those sorts of eyes, I don't have much of an apology for what I charge for this stuff. Like that. So here we have an inconsistency. It's not knotted off or anything. It doesn't need much in the way of attention. It's not a fray. It's just kind of an extra tuft of fur. So I need to put this aside and decide how to go forth with that. I don't have the liberty of just being like, oh, that's good, and you throw it out there, sell it to customers, because we're hanging people's lives off these things. You know, the quality needs to be consistent. So this guy is going to go right over here. If the quality is not consistent, then that tiny little, whatever it is, tuft of extra material or fray or what have you, can very quickly become something much more serious, something much more structurally damaging. Easy. Oh, you bet this is heating up. And I forgot what it was like to handle a rope like this. It's really lovely. It's oh so lovely. So this is a half hour into opening the package and starting to cut it to length. And we've got 3 lines ready for the next stage. At this point I also have to decide, because I haven't completely standardized this, I'm just obscenely thorough, I have to decide what stage comes next. Am I just going to jump to fraying it? Am I going to start knotting the ends? Personally, I like to do the ends close to the end. One of the reasons is I find the boiling stage ends up making the knots at the end loosen, and then you spend the rest of that rope's career trying to make it catch again, make it behave again. Don't really want that. One of the things I deal with here too is in handling the rope, you have to look at the ergonomics. Here I'm keeping my feet, hips, and shoulders in line as I'm doing this pull through. That basically means there's no twisting in my spine, which means I'm not going to start exhausting myself or pulling muscles or any of these things. You don't want to be pulling muscles in something as luxurious as Shibari, because no matter how you sugarcoat it, Shibari is a luxury practice. It's not mandatory, it's not necessary. It might have been therapeutic for me, and that was cool, but something else could have filled that spot. Shibari just happened to meet exactly what I needed, and that's pretty cool. Oh, 5 ready for the next stage. At this point, I've been so excited to dig into this, I haven't even got myself a drink yet. I haven't even eaten yet. It's 1:45 in the afternoon. I got up at 7:30 today. Haven't even eaten yet. So perhaps when I get to the boiling stage, I'll fry up some tofu, have a soda of some sort, and get on with it. Because the boiling stage is going to take some time, that's for sure. It always does. I used to microwave the rope to get the wax to set, but and that was actually kind of a fun stage because it'd make the house smell like beeswax. It was so lovely. But I don't think I'll be microwaving it this time. Mostly because the boiling stage melts the wax anyways, so that should be able to do it. Although cleaning my pork pot after. hips and shoulders in line. Boom. The spine doesn't have to go anywhere else. Beautiful. I'm thinking for funsies, I'm gonna change the angle. You can see what I'm doing here. Well, now I'm a headless entity. You can almost see me. Awesome. That should pretty much do it. Now, as an example, this is what we have going on so far. Doing well. The past collection. Alright. So you see I've got doweling across here. I've got doweling here. I've got the spool on the doweling, and I'm pulling it off there. I actually burnt a hole in my poor mats here with the edge of the doweling cutting into it. A lot of cheap mats, are they? But this way I can pull a little bit more firmly here without having to worry about shaking the table and shaking the camera. Give it some extra leeway so I can do this lovely little knot. Kind of savoring this experience here. So I have not, literally the day I ordered this rope was 365 days after I ordered my last batch of rope. That was kind of cool. I was just like, oh, I should check prices on Osaka rope. Osaka Jute. And I did. And then I was like, man, it's probably been about 8 or 9 months since I've ordered rope. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it was that day. So I was like, well, now I have to order it. And ordered it I did. And then not like 5 days or so later, here it is. Opened away. Oh, this is the rope I've been using. This is the end. Tidy this up a bit. There, I get to see my beautiful face. On the bright side, this stuff will be ready for an event in about 2 weeks. Yeah, I think it's about 2 weeks. Some kind of private show. And these people want to see Shibari. Well, it's been a long time since I've done a proper show, but it's always fun. I've kind of made my practice more private in the past year due to some sort of personal experiences of mine, and I felt that sounds a little bit weird, but I felt like my career was going a little bit too well, and I needed to step back a little bit and just take my time and enjoy what I was doing again, because it became business, and that's always a tricky balance there. Business is a tricky thing to have when you're dealing with a practice, something that's deeper than just practice, but a practice. And it's also tricky when it's your passion too. After all, when your passion becomes work, it can be hard to keep it a passion. Before you know it, you're only doing gigs that pay because you need to cover the bills. You're only working with models. Well, you're working with like everyone that comes through the door, and it's hard to work up a sense of passion with someone that you don't want to tie. So, there's a lot of considerations there for those that are considering doing this for a living. I wasn't blind to the potential, but I also knew that I had to keep a sharp eye on myself, my motives, these sorts of things. And so because of that, I took a step back from the public scene, and right now I've just been tying privately. It's been a good experience for me. So we're up to 11 now. And I've got mail. Oops. Predicted that was going to happen. Real buggers, I've only got 4 more hours to work on this tonight. So, I don't actually think I will finish. Now think about that. I'm concerned that 4 more hours after working on this for 45 minutes already, 4 more hours might not be enough to finish tonight. Yes, 35 bucks a length of rope does seem pretty expensive, but a lot of time and care goes into it. 13. Wish I could have music playing for this, but you guys wouldn't be able to hear my endless mutterings. 14. So far the condition is like wonderfully what's it? Wonderfully consistent. That's just some grain of some sort. Wonderfully consistent. I would know because my hands have already been on every square inch of what's gone through here so far. And as a tactile savant, I'll gamble on these hands. They are sensitive. So we are now at 15 lengths. Uh, 16. So I predict we should be able to get 21 lengths. I'm hoping 21. Sincerely hope I can get 21 lengths. At that point, I can make a little bit of profit. Jute, 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 jute. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. Yeah, it's definitely going to be subject to high stringing though. I'm personally not used to that because most of my rope is so tightly wound. that it's not a thing at all. Miraculously, it's not burning my pillow. Getting low. $18. 2 more and I reached my goal. Let's see what's going on. I think we got this. So this is number 20. It's getting light. There's 21. And depending on what happens with this guy, there's 22. It looked like I might even be able to get the 23 out of here. With any luck. See, this stuff's getting nicely frayed from handling it back and forth. It's also got this kink here that keeps popping up. A loose spot. Pretty please. Maybe. 23 lengths with this much left. That's pretty cool. So that will be an example of how it starts. That goes on my wall, and that proves that shit went down. Right on. Alright, and with that, that is 56 minutes from opening to slicing everything. That's 20, oh, got this. Oops, if I bundle it all. There. And of course the last one's extra curly. There. Got 24 lengths out of that package. That's pretty sweet. So the next step is going to be fraying it and then singeing it. So I'm going to end this video here because it's already an hour long, and we'll go from there.